Our next presentation is a fireside chat here with Ramfis Myrthil and Joseph Clarke. Welcome. And so we were, as special thanks to Joseph, who just found out he was doing this about 7 minutes ago. Both Ramfis and Joseph, in my perception, are absolutely extraordinary they just nailed collaboration, teamwork, connecting with people and enabling people to create as part of a team. So I've asked Ramfis and Joseph to just have a fireside chat conversation about the lessons they've learned in this area, the way in which they approach creative projects as members of a team and also leading a team, and how they learn those lessons and what they do now just automatically. Like what do you do that you don't even realize you're doing it anymore? You always make sure you approach collaboration in this way. So once again, round of applause please. Over to you, man.
Well, thanks for jumping in on this, man.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Are you on?
One, two.
Better now?
Yeah.
Better now? Yeah. Pleasure to do this with you.
Definitely.
Someone had asked me recently, I don't know where it was, like we were both at Cannes and we had like an amazing time. And I feel that the reason why it was so successful was because of the partnerships and relationships that we had created. You know, like the reason that I'm here is because of Dave DeBoard. I don't know if he's here or not, but I met Dave DeBoard at Sundance in 2019 at Jonathan Gray's party, and Jonathan Gray is just like this like legendary, amazing attorney that's done like every movie you could imagine, from like Moonlight to The Irishman. And what occurred was that I met Dave at this event, and we chatted really briefly. And you know, I have a checklist of things to mention when I meet people, let them know that, hey, I'm a filmmaker, creative, speak. And I kind of went through that, it's just like naturally. And then like the first thing Dave said is like, hey, we're doing a film festival called Sunscreen, you know, in St. Pete, you should come. And just like that, that's how I got involved with the Sunscreen community. And that led to, you know, like partnership at Cannes and speaking at the Pavilion, you know, that year. And then it blossomed to me meeting Maxim, you know, and us developing like an amazing relationship. And I want to say the year before I met Chrisanne, you know, your partner in crime.
Yes.
And I had known of Chrisanne's like work, you know. Chrisanne did The Cove, which was Oscar winner, right? It won the Oscar. Yeah, it won the Oscar. And we had just met, you know, about a year ago, and you know, we talked about going to Cannes, and we did a bunch of panels together. And she had launched this like huge company with $200 million like slate. And I feel the reason why you know, we were so I want to say successful is because of the collaboration, the give and take. You know, there's a belief in spiritual law: the more you give, the more you get. You know, you know, that's just kind of how it works. And I feel that that's what's kind of fostered your relationships, my relationships, the community. And with Maxim as well, he comes from a very spiritual, you know, place. And I feel like everything kind of levels out, you know. So sometimes you're just going at something so hard and pushing and pushing and pushing. And that doesn't always work. And I remember reading this thing in the Creations magazine. It's like this spiritual magazine. And it said, the less you do, the more you do. You know, like doing less is doing more. And I feel that the reason that, you know, your career, my career, and you can speak a little bit more about this, but
we're trying to collaborate.
right?
Actually, I think it's these mics.
Yeah.
So if you stand
Over here.
oh wait, yeah, like more in the middle, you might find
Okay. I lost my train of thought. So I feel that the reason why all of these things that kind of happen is having trust within ourselves, our intuition, building up that confidence, you know, as a human being, spiritually, and just like mastering our craft. And when you collaborate, it's energy, you know, and that's really what it is. It's just transferring the energy back and forth, back and forth. And what ends up happening is that when you're consistent with this energy, it becomes, it spirals and it keeps growing and growing and manifesting and becoming bigger and bigger. And I feel that my best collaborators are like-minded people, you know, and that's why we find ourselves in the room many times together. You know, this whole year, you know, we're at South by Southwest, right, at multiple events, and then the same thing at Cannes. And here we are, here in New York, and I'm sure that we're going to be at a bunch of, you know, places too, throughout the year. But I mean, what do you have to say to like some of?
Well, everything that you mentioned is correct. When I engage, well, let me just take it back. So I was a hip hop artist in 1993, signed to RCA Records, and Public Enemy, Leaders of the New School was my crew. And you know, being with Busta Rhymes, you tend to have this thing, this aggressive thing, you know. So I had this arrogant way about me. And I went through a little situation with my son, little situation, but it kind of, you know, put me back in a place where I had to recalibrate myself. And I found God, first and foremost, in the time that I really needed him. And it triggered like an unimaginable level of humility. And then I began to view life as a self-inflicting experience in all its entirety. So you must apply humility to that perspective. And wonderful things started happening. You know, even without speaking to people, just looking at them or exchanging that energy. Mm-hmm. It happens. That's how we function as human beings, just energy beings. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. For me, I just apply, I challenge myself, how much humility can I apply to every situation, every moment? And it works out, you know. It helps them 6'7" too, you know what I'm saying? you got to make it, you know, so.
Yeah.
And then also, you know, teamwork, making the dream work, you know, I did a slight pivot into residential and commercial development. And during that process, on a large scale, if you separate the plumbing from the electrician, the framework from the drywall, from your project's gonna get delayed, and then you have to come back to the table. But see, I chose to bring everybody in the room at one time. And this way, the left hand knows what, you know, the right hand knows what the left hand is doing, and vice versa. So everything that you mentioned about just that collaborative mindset, that system, that model is very necessary for the most powerful people. The most powerful people that I've ever met were silent, humble individuals. You know, so.
And I'm actually have a little surprise there. I mean, I was surprised because I was supposed to speak at 3 o'clock, and there were things that kind of moved for me to speak now. And my team was supposed to come at 3. I'm like, they're not going to make it. And I walk in. Who do I see? I see Clara, you know, who's on my team. And she goes to NYU, you know. She is a junior. No, you're going to be a junior, right? Going to be a junior. And it's like, you know, even though, you know, she's on my team and she's learning, you know, from me, I'm learning from her too. You know, so one of the things that I do when I look at projects is that I do something called coverage, where we send a script in, and I have the team look at the character, the pacing, the dialogue, the structure, the overall story. And I don't have it here, but back there, you know, I could be a little bit of a dinosaur. I'm a proud BlackBerry user, you know. And with that said, you know, there's certain things I just don't do, but a younger person like Clara, she sees a different POV. And I feel like to be a really great collaborator, you know, I can learn from younger people, or there's things that I'm learning from you, you know, and it's like, you know, it's not that I know everything, you know, because of my old-fashioned view with certain things, I'm able to see things through your eyes. And just being, because a lot of times, you've probably seen it definitely in your industry where they know it all, and I feel that the people that always admit that they don't know everything, they are more open and they're easy to collaborate with, and there's like a future. But the woman or the man that knows everything, it doesn't know anything.
Yeah, there's a saying actually that the wisest man knows nothing and is willing to learn everything. And that was something that I learned quite a few years ago, and it just kind of resonated with me and stuck with me during my transformation.
Yeah. And I think also as being like a collaborator, what's important is to challenge yourself, not to go for the easy stuff, like the low-hanging fruit. Like once you've conquered something, like how do you grow? Whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically, you push yourself. And I feel that as collaborators, what has made you successful myself is having, like-minded people that know more than us, that we can go to too. And you'll ask, like, why would such and such want to this person want to maybe collaborate? The reality is that sometimes they see something that they saw in themselves and they see it in you, or maybe it's this thing is like you may have more energy or able to do more, and then they want to do less. It's like a balance in a sense. It's again give and take. But I feel that that's something that's really maybe because. It's going to sound funny or silly, maybe to you, Clara, is that a few years ago, like I understood the business side of production, like the film world pretty well. But I always questioned my creativity. Like, am I creative enough? Like, do I, have what it takes to be able to talk with, like a very artistic filmmaker? Like, I'm in my head, about it. And I feel that the way that I got better was that like hanging out with like my colleagues that were maybe they've done a little bit more work than me or more established than me or we're on the same level, but learning from them and being a bouncing board, like when they're in trouble, they can reach out, not necessarily in trouble, but they have a question, they can reach out to me and then I can share my experience or vice versa. And, one of the really cool things that had happened, I'm thinking about this yesterday. On my way walking into the restaurant, we had this really cool private dinner that Maxim helped put together with Dave DeBoard. And I ran into this young filmmaker and we reconnected and we were talking and I was rewinding to, a deal that we had done. There was a biopic that I was involved with. This filmmaker had this financier that he was, wanting to work with, but it just didn't work with the business model of like how this financier works. And he had just told me like, hey, Ramfis, I have this investor, I can't use him, but maybe you can use him. And there was a project that I was in the mix with, and I'm like, this can ultimately fit. And we closed like a 6-figure deal for a 7-figure budgeted movie within a matter of like, it was like right before Christmas. And if anything, in our business, like after Thanksgiving, things are slow. Like no one wants to work, no one wants to do anything. And, we literally, I think, got the money like within 7 days or less, like a significant amount of money. And he did it not for, he wasn't looking for anything. You know what I mean? It was just like, hey, dude, I have this thing, you can use it. And it off love just because of that. It's like, dude, like I'm gonna pay it forward. And he didn't ask for anything, but I made sure that he was taken care of because he set that up.
That's the cycle.
That's
the thing. You got to stay true to the cycle. And people shouldn't have to tell you to include them in something that you know that they are part of. That's what separates. Me, I always do good business. Even if I recognize people's IP, their ideas, suggestions, and intangible pieces that bring things together. I always identify all of that, which leans back into the level of humility I apply to my life. To see the signs and see these things. When you're arrogant and focused, tunnel vision, so you're just like, boom, we'll knock this out. But when you're humble, you have just a broad view where you just take it all in. It's like when Mr. Smith in the Matrix, you know, when he got the Neo and he was trying to fight it, but then he let go.
Yeah.
And then he became more powerful than ever.
Yeah.
So, same thing.
Yeah. And then some of you are asking maybe or thinking, you know, like, where did I find these tools? How did I get these things? Like, where did it come, you know? I read a lot of books that helped, you know, so I'm just gonna share some of the books. I feel like they're fundamental books. There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's written by Dale Carnegie. And it's simple. I feel like they should just have it in like second grade, and every year this should be like a recap. And one of the rules in, you know, it's a common rule throughout life is like the creator, God, Allah, whatever you want to call him, gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, you know? So it's like using those listening skills. That's how I've been able to develop like really great, authentic, genuine relationships, just paying attention, being aware, you know? It's not like you are scheming, you know, in a sense of, you know, like eavesdropping on a conversation. But if you hear something, you know, like I was, you know, in Amalfi Coast and I was on a call and I got off and the young lady in front of me said, listen, I didn't mean to snoop, but, you know, I work at Warner Brothers. I heard you talk about Elvis and Can and, you know, like I want to, you know, talk to you and stay in touch with, like just things like that. And that's how you develop like relationships, you know? So that's a great book, you know, like all the rules are like legit. And there's another thing I picked up. I don't remember where it was. Maybe it was from Jay Shetty. I'm a big Jay Shetty fan. He wrote a book called Think Like a Monk. He's a very positive influencer, but he always encourages to use your 5 senses. You know, your sight, your hear, your smell. That has tremendously helped me as well. And then there's this book written about, he's the #1 hostage negotiator. It's Chris Voss. He's never splitting the difference, like your life depended on it. And he talks about all these situations where, you know, people's lives are at great jeopardy, you know. And it's a long book. It's a really good read. Or you can get the audiobook. Again, I'm old school, so like I get CDs and put it in the CD player, you know. I only rent cars that have CD players too. That's all. It's becoming harder and harder, you know, nowadays. But in that book, he just talks about all these, you know, situations where things went right or went wrong, and with that, you know, in this modern day, you know, like just negotiating things, you know, something like that. If you can negotiate someone's life, you can negotiate anything, you know. And the last book that I'm going to bring that's been helpful is called The 48 Laws of Power. You know, it's written by Robert Greene, and it's a book about deception and seduction. And not that I'm promoting that, but by you being aware of when people are using these rules, you know, like you're just aware. You know how to protect yourself. You know if you're being taken advantage of, and you can go with it or not go with it. You know. But it also has that same rule where, you know, God gave you 2 rules, 2 ears and a mouth, you know, for a reason. And that book has been extremely, you know, helpful in my life because in the entertainment industry, there could be people that are not honest or authentic or kind. And I've seen people in our business skyrocket up, you know, using some of these tools.
Double talk. They use double talk and malarkey and all of these other jibbery jabbery. Yeah, I know.
But if you want to share any, you know.
For me, it's been the most effective tool as of late is Web3. You know, we're programmed to be have a centralized perspective in engaging business and society. Let me control this over here and I'm going to divvy it out. With Web3, it's all transparent, so you really have to shift your mindset to a decentralized perspective of life. You know, so that's been a very useful tool for me. You know, you mentioned the young lady that you're learning from. Like I got all these like kids. I'm 49 now, so it's like these children are just like teaching me how to think the way that we should have always thought. You know, creating this type of society that we should have always been living and participating in. So that's been the most useful tool. I would suggest anybody to not just, you know, don't be deterred from the word crypto and all the blockchain, but Web3, that whole mindset has a psychological effect or benefit as well. You don't have to buy any crypto, just peep how they think and how they move, you know.
How are we doing on time, by the way?
Oh, we pretty much are at time.
Okay, so let's open up for Q&A. Yeah, let's open for Q&A. By the way, I have Maxim will pass around a little clipboard. I have a newsletter that goes out the first Thursday of every month. Didn't go out this month because we've been in Europe, you know, but it'll be going out soon, so feel free to sign up. But questions, comments, concerns on anything that we've shared or said that you don't agree with or you want to learn more about, you know, Tamika, I saw your hand was up earlier.
I would love for you to speak about the relationship between manifestation and creativity or creation, and if you feel like it's basically the same thing.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So what's really helped transform my life? I don't know if you meditate.
Yes.
So, you know, like I meditate every day, whether it's for like 2 minutes. Didn't do it this morning, but I will do it. But I meditate like every day, and I do it with, you know, like I have stones that I carry with me, and they have like intentions. And what's really helped me is that, call it a placebo effect or whatever, but visually seeing the goal that I want to hit, and it could be any timeline. It doesn't need to happen today or tomorrow, but that's really helped, being able to, you know, like I close my eyes, I imagine like, you know, like the two most powerful things I think in the universe is love and light, you know, so I call upon love, you know what I mean? I open up my heart. And then I call upon light, whether it's like white light or blue light. And then I envision that. And I'm getting really spiritual here, you know. I don't know if that's allowed, you know, how spiritual I can get here, but I know there was this
If it's about creativity and
okay.
But you got like 30 seconds.
All right, so I call upon like my angels, you know. So I call upon like Merlin, he's one of like my spirit guides. I call upon my grandfather, he's one of my spirit guides. I call upon, you know, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. And then through that, I'm able to keep like a really good positive vibe. And I create like a cocoon around me. So, you know, in our business, people can throw stuff at you, you know, negative energy or whatever. So when I do that, when the negative stuff comes, it just bounces off. It doesn't really faze me, you know, and I'm able to just move forward, you know, like we're gonna all have bad days. Things are gonna go wrong. But because I have the mindset, you program yourself in that morning, and you're able to manifest short-term and long-term goals. So I encompass all of these things to be able to manifest with spirals. It connects to my creativity. Does that make sense? Okay.
Phenomenal. Well,
Wait, another question or two.
one question.
Okay.
One question.
I see
we,
two hands.
We have next week.
I'm receiving you guys and thinking if I ask this next question, you guys probably know. What are your human design types?
My human design types.
Human design types. I would say I'm a giver. I get overwhelmingly stimulated when I am able to give. That's what I strive to do. I have to kind of hold back from giving, kind of like an empath almost, like I feel energy, like I study thought energy. That's what makes it so I'm not nervous right now, because I'm really focused and I identify that everybody's projecting their thought energy at me. I used to get nervous when I performed. I'd kick off my shoes and run around stage with, you know, towels and water and shit.
What was your name?
Capital LS from a group Uncle Tilskins. We were signed directly to RCA Records during the time Wu-Tang came with Steve Rifkin. That's WV, my label mates and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say I'm a giver. I'm a giver, I support. That's my core design as a human.
I want to say the same thing he did. Well, my responsibility on this planet is to leave people touched, moved, and inspired, you know, so it's through my speaking engagements, through filmmaking. So I want to say that, you know, I'm like a beacon of light. That's the best way to describe my design. I'm a light giver. I'm a light worker. That's what I am.
That's a drop the mic right there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.